Welcome back to the show. We must analyze the current state of our offense following the confirmed departure of our primary wide receiver via trade. This roster move thrusts our exceptional second receiver back into the undisputed number one role. But here's the critical question. What does this mean for our future salary cap? Currently playing on a bargain contract, this playmaker's potential production as the primary target could skyrocket his next extension value. Where do you see this negotiation heading? Share your thoughts below, and let us break down this fascinating financial situation right now. Devonta Smith is the WR1 for the Philadelphia Eagles. Again. Now, I know what you're thinking. Didn't we already know how good he was? Haven't we been watching this young man operate with the precision of a surgeon for years? But there is a fundamental shift happening in the landscape of the Philadelphia offense. And it's time we look at this through the lens of pure, unadulterated NFL value. When you talk about the Eagles, you talk about a front office that understands the currency of the league. Howie Roseman isn't just managing a roster. He is navigating a salary cap environment that has become increasingly volatile, especially when you look at the wide receiver market. By securing Devonta Smith to that 3-year, $75 million extension, the Eagles didn't just lock up a playmaker. They secured one of the greatest bargains in professional football. Let's step back and look at the context. We have spent the last few seasons watching the tandem of A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith rewrite the record books in Philadelphia. It has been a symbiotic relationship, a beautiful display of two distinct styles. Brown, the physical force of nature who wins at the point of attack, and Smith, the technician, the route runner who plays with a grace that hides just how lethal he is. But the narrative that Smith was merely a WR2 never quite held water for those of us watching the film. When you average 80 catches and over 1,000 yards for 4 consecutive seasons while sharing targets in an offense that, at times, prioritize the ground game, you aren't a secondary option. You are a cornerstone. The fact that he did this while being paid significantly less than his peers in the elite wideout conversation isn't just a testament to the player, it's a testament to the foresight of the franchise. Consider the recent explosions in the market. We've seen the numbers for guys like Drake London and Christian Watson, and we've seen the market reset itself time and time again. When you look at the spreadsheet, it's almost startling. Smith ranks 20th in average annual value, despite being 11th in the league in receiving yards, and 13th in total receptions over his 4-year tenure. If you were to walk into any front office in the NFL and tell the GM you have a player who has produced at that level, with 26 touchdowns to his name, and is only costing you $25 million per season, you'd be laughed out of the room because they think it was too good to be true. It is a strategic masterstroke, but it also brings us to the inevitable question, what happens when that contract window starts to close? We have to talk about the ceiling. The ceiling for Devonta Smith is not a destination, it's an evolution. We've seen other receivers in this league step into the spotlight as the primary target and blow their previous production metrics out of the water. Look at what happens when the target share consolidation occurs. We use the example of Jackson Smith and Jigba's trajectory, moving from a secondary contributor to a dominant record-setting force, as a mirror for what could potentially unfold in Philadelphia. If Smith assumes that primary focal point status and the offense leans into his ability to separate at every level of the field, the numbers aren't just going to climb, they are going to vault into the stratosphere. And if that happens, the conversations about his next contract are going to get very loud, very quickly. Is it premature to talk about his next deal? In the modern NFL, no. You never stop planning. If Smith puts up the kind of numbers that mirror the elite tier, the Justin Jeffersons, the Jamar Chases, the CeeDee Lambs, the starting point for negotiations isn't going to be the $25 million he's making now. We are looking at a market that is pushing toward $35 million, potentially even $40 million a year for top-tier production. Does the Eagles front office have the appetite to commit that level of capital to the receiver room long-term? That is the billion-dollar question. We know that Howie Roseman loves the trenches, loves the defensive line depth, and values the quarterback position above all else. But keeping an elite offensive weapon like Smith is quite frankly a competitive necessity in today's NFC. Think about the implications for the coaching staff. If you are the offensive coordinator, you aren't looking at Smith as a bargain, you are looking at him as your chess piece. How do you design the game plan to maximize a player who has proven he can beat double coverage who has the versatility to win from the slot or the perimeter, and who possesses the mental fortitude to handle the pressure of being the WR1 in a city like Philadelphia. The expectations in Philly aren't just to make the playoffs, they are to host the Lombardi Trophy. To get there, you need players who don't just put up numbers, but who show up in high-leverage moments. Smith has shown us he has that clutch gene, that ability to make the tough catch on 3rd and long that keeps a drive and a season alive. Where does this leave the franchise? It leaves them in a position of power, but also a position of pressure. You have a player who is vastly outperforming his salary, which is a luxury, but luxury doesn't last forever. You have to decide if you're going to extend the window again, or if you're going to ride this wave until the tide shifts. Are there any concerns? Only the typical ones: health, longevity, and the sustainability of the salary cap. But when you look at how Devonta Smith plays, the way he avoids the catastrophic, bone-jarring hits by being smarter and quicker than the defender, you feel a sense of confidence that his game will age well. He isn't just relying on raw speed, he's relying on a deep, intellectual understanding of the game. That kind of player doesn't just decline, he transitions into a leader. As we look toward the upcoming season, the narrative should be about growth. We aren't just waiting to see if Smith can repeat his performance. We are waiting to see how he elevates everyone around him. If he truly is the WR1, his leadership in the huddle, his influence on the younger receivers in the room, and his consistency on the practice field will define the identity of the offense. We are looking at a player who is currently the best kept secret in terms of value, but that secret is about to become public knowledge if the 2026 season goes the way many of us expect. The production will be there, the tape will prove it, and the market will respond. Ultimately, the Eagles have landed on a winning formula with Devonta Smith. They have a star who plays with the humility of a rookie and the efficiency of a veteran. The main consequence of his current trajectory is that he is forcing the franchise to prepare for a massive investment sooner rather than later. You cannot keep a talent like this at this price point forever, and frankly, he is earning every single cent of his next potential payday. The question for the front office isn't if he is a foundational piece, but how they will structure the next chapter of this team around him to ensure they remain Super Bowl contenders year in and year out. It is a good problem to have, but it is a problem that requires clarity, foresight, and a commitment to winning at the highest level. As I reflect on the path forward, I find myself thinking about the legacy of this roster. Can they keep the window open while managing these massive individual contracts? That's the puzzle that defines the modern NFL. For now, enjoy the production. Enjoy the technical brilliance of watching Smith work, and appreciate the fact that for the current cost, you are watching one of the most efficient offensive engines in the league. The sky is indeed the limit for what he can do, and I, for one, will be tracking every single yard, every single catch, and every single ripple effect this has on the team's championship aspirations. If you enjoyed this breakdown of where the Eagles stand, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and keep the notification bell rung, because as this season unfolds, we are going to be right here, breaking down the X's and O's, the front office moves, and everything in between that makes this franchise what it is. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.